It was a dark and stormy night in the bustling city. Detective Nolan received an urgent call about a murder at the downtown insurance office. As he arrived at the crime scene, the air was thick with tension. The victim was Eric Wilkins, the office manager at Acme Insurance. He had been found dead in his locked office, a single gunshot wound to the head. The murder weapon, a small caliber pistol, lay on the floor next to the body. Examining the crime scene, Detective Nolan noticed several peculiarities. There were no signs of a struggle, suggesting the victim had been caught off guard. The office was meticulously organized, except for a single file folder that had been knocked to the floor. Its contents spilled across the room. The security cameras had been disabled, leaving no visual record of the killer's entrance or escape. The only door to the office was locked from the inside, ruling out an external intruder. This was no ordinary murder. Someone with intimate knowledge of the office and access had committed the crime. As Nolan surveyed the scene, a deep sense of unease settled over him. Who would want to kill the mild-mannered office manager, and how did they manage to commit the perfect crime? The first piece of the puzzle had been laid, and Detective Nolan knew he was in for a challenging investigation. Detective Nolan pored over the evidence from the crime scene, but the pieces just didn't fit together. There were no obvious signs pointing to the killer. He needed to dig deeper. Nolan summoned the three individuals who had the most contact with the victim, Eric Wilkins, in the days leading up to the murder. The first suspect was Samantha Reed, Wilkins' assistant. She claimed to have a strained relationship with her boss, complaining about his micromanaging and long hours. The second suspect was Gregory Finch, an insurance agent who had recently been passed over for a promotion that Wilkins had received. Finch had a history of anger issues and had been heard openly criticizing Wilkins. The third suspect was Olivia Sinclair, the head of the accounting department. Wilkins had been auditing her department's finances, and rumors swirled that he had uncovered some discrepancies. As Nolan interviewed each suspect, the tension in the room grew palpable. They all had motives, but no clear evidence pointed to any one individual. That's when Nolan noticed something peculiar. Each suspect had been oddly specific about the time of the murder, claiming to have an alibi for the exact same 30-minute window.
Interesting,
Nolan mused.
It seems we have a riddle to solve. How could three people all claim to have been elsewhere at the time of the crime?
He knew the key to unraveling this mystery lay in deciphering this first perplexing clue. Detective Nolan's brow furrowed as he reviewed the evidence and the alibis provided by the three suspects. Something just didn't add up. He knew he was missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. As he delved deeper into the case, Nolan uncovered a second peculiarity. The security camera system, which had been disabled during the murder, had been mysteriously reactivated shortly after the crime. But the footage showed nothing out of the ordinary, just the three suspects going about their normal business.
Why would the killer turn the cameras back on?
Nolan wondered aloud.
What could they be trying to hide?
The detective's instincts told him that the answer lay in deciphering this new riddle. He meticulously combed through the security footage, looking for the slightest anomaly. And then it hit him. The timestamps on the footage didn't quite match up with the alibis provided by the suspects. Summoning the three individuals back to the station, Nolan confronted them with his discovery.
Your alibis seem to be, shall we say, a bit inconsistent with the evidence. Care to explain?
The room erupted in a tense standoff, each suspect frantically trying to defend their story. Nolan could feel the air crackling with anxiety as he waited for one of them to slip up and reveal the truth. The detective knew he was closing in on the killer, but the path forward was still shrouded in mystery. The second riddle had been solved, but the final piece of the puzzle remained elusive. The tension was palpable as Nolan steeled himself for the final showdown. Detective Nolan studied the three suspects, each one nervously fidgeting under his intense gaze. The pieces were finally starting to fall into place, but he needed one final clue to crack the case wide open. Reviewing the first puzzle, the suspects' curiously specific alibis for the same 30-minute window, Nolan realized it must have been a coordinated attempt to establish a false timeline. And the second puzzle, the discrepancy in the security camera footage timestamps, revealed that the trio had meticulously planned their alibi. Suddenly, it all made sense. Nolan slammed his hand on the table, startling the suspects.
I've got you now. You three were in cahoots, weren't you? You killed Eric Wilkins together, and then tried to throw me off the scent with your carefully crafted alibis.
The three suspects exchanged horrified glances, realizing their carefully constructed web of lies had been unraveled. Samantha Reed, the assistant, finally broke down and confessed.
It was Olivia's idea.
She blurted out.
She said Wilkins was embezzling from the company, and we had to stop him before he exposed the whole scheme. Gregory distracted Wilkins in his office, while Olivia and I waited outside. When the coast was clear, I slipped in and shot him.
Nolan nodded, the final pieces of the puzzle falling into place.
You disabled the security cameras, then reactivated them to create the illusion of normalcy, and your perfectly synchronized alibis were meant to throw me off the trail. But you made one crucial mistake. You didn't account for the discrepancy in the timestamps.
As the suspects were led away in handcuffs, Nolan let out a long sigh. It had been a complex and intricate case, but in the end, his keen eye for detail and relentless pursuit of the truth had paid off. Detective Nolan had once again proven that no murder mystery was too convoluted for his unparalleled skills of deduction.